So last night I worked with an incredibly beautiful gentleman over in Canada, and I helped him understand that the sicky, dread, sickness kind of feeling that he gets in his belly that we call anxiety, that's actually his inner boy. That's also what's true for you, this person watching this video, because I want you to know that when you feel that whole, that dread, that oh my god, or that overwhelming feeling deep inside you from anxiety, that's actually your inner child or your inner boy that is communicating with you. And what we tend to do as people is we tend to run away from those feelings, right? We tend to phone scroll, or we put down the phone, we don't make that phone call. We do various coping mechanisms. So common coping mechanisms we use are things like phone scrolling. We will deflect, we will get angry, we will drink, we will smoke, or do whatever. When we have anxiety deep in our body, that is our inner child or our inner boy that is making us feel that way. It's not something outside of that. And when you have things like you've got an anxious attachment style, that comes from what would have happened to you when you were younger. And that's why I will say to you, one of the greatest healing modalities and why you see me is because I'm an inner child specialist. I'm someone that understands the inner child journey in ways many other people don't get that. And I want you to know that when you are trying to run away from that sicky anxiety feeling, the solution, turn towards that feeling. And that's what I taught that beautiful gentleman last night. Because when we turn towards that feeling, we're not actually running away from our inner child. We're not actually abandoning our inner child. We're actually turning towards them, and we're helping and we're supporting them, and we're giving things that they need. But so many of us use different coping mechanisms to try and stop that feeling. Whereas this video is let's turn towards that feeling. Let's acknowledge our inner child or our inner boy. Let's talk to them, and let's give them the words that they needed back then. Because the only reason that you're getting that anxiety or that sicky feeling is your inner child has been activated in some way. And I will always say this is where the somatic work when it comes to inner child work is so important, because our bodies genuinely are full of trauma. Trauma is defined as a moment in time when something was not enough or something was too much. And what happens is our inner child keeps a recollection and a story of every single time that something has been too much or not enough. And as I explained in this analogy to a client the other day, I said, I want you to think about every single time that you have experienced trauma in your body, which creates anxiety in your system. I want you to think about your body being full of dots. And that whenever you've had any trauma, those white dots have turned for a different colour. And what happens is, in our experience in the 3D reality, trauma is always coming to the surface, because ultimately our job is to remove the trauma in our body. When we don't have any trauma and we don't have any anxiety, we have a lovely regulated nervous system. That's when you're able to just sit calmly, you're not affected by things, you're really quite peaceful in your life. But when we have anxiety, a lot of our anxiety is because of trauma that is deep in the body that the inner child is feeling. And I want you to know that when you have anxiety and it is happening, yes, that is your inner child, but it doesn't have to be a replication of a previous memory happening exactly the same time. One of the things that's very true for me, and I know because I coach and I help loads of people, is when we get massive anxiety in our body, it's because our body is feeling the same sensations that it felt at a previous moment in time. That's why all of a sudden you can feel incredibly anxious for no reason, but what's happened is the trauma has all grouped together in your body, and your body is going dun 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 dun, or giving you whatever feeling it is, because the trauma has been activated. That should make a lot of sense to a lot of you, because sometimes you'll be like, oh my god, like, why am I so anxious in my body? What has happened is all the stuff in your body, all the trauma is firing at the same time, because ultimately the soul is trying to heal itself. And that's where the inner child modality works the best. So how do we turn towards our inner child? What do we say? So for those of you usually women who've done inner child work, okay? I want you to make a point of connecting with your inner child. So when you've got that anxiety in the future, let's turn towards her. Hey, I can feel you're anxious quite now. I'm here. Are you okay? That's for those of you who've had previous inner child contact. If you've never had inner child contact before and you are feeling incredibly anxious, let's try something like this. Hey, little one. I can feel that you feel quite sicky right now. My name is, give them your name, and my age is, and I can feel that you don't feel so good right now. I want to let you know that I'm here. I can feel you're not feeling great, but I'm going to show up for you. I'd love to get to know you. Are you open to that? And then you can use, whatever words come to mind sort of from that intuitively if you are female. When I work with masculines, like I worked with this guy last night, I was able to help him identify that when he is having that massive anxiety, when he's got to go and stand up and, do acting in front of people, that when he is feeling that massive anxiety, what I taught him was that when he's feeling that way, to turn towards the tightness and the sickness in his belly and to talk to his inner boy. And I want to say this, most masculines, okay, they don't see their inner child like females do. Very few male clients that I work with actually see their inner boy. Everything for the masculine is all about the inner boy being in the gut, the chest, or the throat. So what I taught him was when he is feeling that to go, hey, the little boy's name that we found out in a 90-minute session last night, I can feel you're pretty anxious. I'm here for you. I'm going to make sure I show up for you. I'm not going anywhere. We've got this. When masculines work with inner boy, it's very different language to what feminines use when they work with the inner child concept. Because I want you to know that your inner child is actually your emotions. But for most of us masculines, we were taught to run away from emotion. We were told things like, oh, don't cry, don't be so soft, nana, baby, don't be so babyish. I heard all of those things when I was growing up personally, because my dad was one of those people that was tough it through life. So after spending that time with him, he was able to understand that when he got that sicky feeling and he turned towards his inner boy, his belly started becoming lovely and warm. And I really helped him in this session understand that when it's nice and warm, he's getting a yes. When it's going cold and not and tightening and his chest feels constricted, he's getting a no. And that's a fundamental teaching and principle that I just want to pass across to you today. So rather than running away from your inner child, how about you run towards her? Rather than running away from that anxiety feeling and running away from your inner boy, creating further abandonment, how about you run towards him and use whatever phrases pop into mind? You don't have to know his name. You can say, hey, little guy, or hey, little me, whatever comes to mind. But simply turning towards your inner child or your inner boy, that's going to help ease the anxiety that you're feeling in your body. So the next time that you want to go and send a text to somebody and you've got the massive anxiety, or you want to ring somebody, or you want to make an appointment, or you want to make a booking, or whatever, and if you've got that anxiety feeling, hey, little me, little you, I can feel you don't feel so great right now. I'm here, my name and my age. How about that? And just to end here, I've got a couple of great, really brilliant tools that are going to help you. I have the Inner Child Reset. That is predominantly for females, and it's in the description here on YouTube. And for men, I've created the Inner Boy Reset. There's nothing out there at all for masculines. So I actually got asked by a load of divine feminines if I'd make something, and I have. And that's over on my school community, all completely ready, all over there. And it will be available on Thrivecart at the beginning of March. If you also would love to do a session with me, all the details and bits and pieces are in the description here on YouTube as well. But I believe that you're seeing me because I'm someone that really does understand the inner child concept better than pretty much most people. And that's because I live the inner child experience day in, day out. I hope this video helps you, because I want you to know that anxiety feeling, the next time you feel that, That's your inner child or your inner boy. Have a great day. Bye bye.